Hi, this is Black Krishna, or BK, for manfulwars.com, where I'm promoting polite patriotism to help nice ladies and gents teach kids to be, look, talk, and feel great, and locally discuss and share great online info offline as better people making better places to live. Online's fine, or often censored in digital ghettos, and people trolling each other and making it hard to communicate well online in the comments. Whereas with the offline info war, you promote be nice, everyone likes, or be polite, and then more confident and empowered people can more easily say or hear or allow to be said, hey, take this seriously, get bad guys, and so on. And then the usual meetings, meet and greet tables, posters, flyers, and more can kind of spread the word where you live. And this is typically how changes are done. You get some individuals getting together, they meet, they put the word out in their neighborhood, they do a good job, they get some independent or mainstream media, that pushes some politicians to act, and you get better politicians and better policies and better places to live. So pretty standard stuff. So manforwars.com for some more problems, reactions, and solutions related to that. But this video is called Kanye West Warns the World, Get Off Social Media Making You Stupid, and Hollywood is Run by Satan. Get off social media making you stupid, and Hollywood is run by Satan. It's like, wow. And Kanye West, interesting figure. Everybody recognizes that he's some form of artistic genius, whether you like him or not. He certainly is prolific and gifted as a musician, fashion designer, businessman, and more. And yet, due to his erratic behavior at times and his support for President Trump, he's gotten a lot of blowback and a lot of pushback. And despite the fact that this warning from Kanye West is crucial, it's just another reminder from somebody a lot of people like and respect about the dangers of social media and the dangers of believing in Hollywood. Despite that, there really wasn't that much press coverage about this, especially in America or North America. And so I've got a couple of articles from the UK, from England, that shared a bit of what Kanye was on about. So I'll go to those now, and I'll show you. Here is an example. Oh, my phone is safety scanning, excuse me. Got it, all safe. Good news. So here is an article from the UK Mirror. The Mirror. It says here, Kanye West urges youngsters to, quote, put down the gram, and claims LA is, quote, run by Satan. Right? LA, Hollywood, whatever. And there's the Mirror, and there is the article. And I'll put a link to it below if it's still up, if I can find it. It seems like it's still up based on this. It says here, the musician's latest album, Jesus is King, is filled with messages of how the modern world is bad. And I would say that's a bit of a pessimistic and negative way of looking at it. I would say that there's lots of dangers and issues with the modern world, just like there is pretty much at any time in history. And warning about those dangers and helping people avoid them is actually a good thing. And by and large, he might think the world is good. He's got a beautiful wife, beautiful kids, beautiful life. But there are some things that are screwing people up, and so he responsibly is sharing some of his thoughts on what they might be. And this article is by Sarah Aisha Kent from September 29th, 2019. Was written, and then it was updated. And there's Ms. Kent, her byline. And it says here, Kanye West pleads with young people to disconnect from social media and states the city of Los Angeles in his upcoming album, Jesus is King. States, I assume this is a misprint, but says Los Angeles is run by Satan, I guess. The Gold Digger hitmaker, 42, who is yet to release the 35-minute album, has thrown listening parties in Detroit and Chicago, and it is reported that his gospel album is full of messages of how the modern world is evil. It has been revealed that the husband of Kim Kardashian advises, quote, put the gram away, in reference to social media platform Instagram on his song Closed on Sunday, according to The Sun. Yeah, his wife is a huge social media influencer. She's got tens of millions of followers on Instagram and Twitter and so on. And And yet, she's built it into sort of a business brand, right? And people have said, if you're not using it to make money, if you're not using it to be productive, if you're just sort of wasting time on it, arguing with people, snarkily and bitchily blurting into the world, if you're talking in shorter and shorter sentences, if you're or sentence fragments, or even worse, emojis, you're expressing yourself less and less and less. This is not the way you feel. This is either a short, snarky, bitchy blurt exaggerating the way you feel, how bad you feel about something, or about how bad you feel about how bad something is, plus some other stuff mixed in there, obviously. Or if you're using emojis, you're not talking about how you feel. You're using a generic image of how everybody in the world feels, right? So this is not you uniquely expressing yourself. This is sad emoji, happy emoji, laughing, crying, poop emoji, whatever, right? And all of that takes people further and further away from uniquely expressing themselves the way we would with our body or verbal language in person, in conversation, and then reverse engineering that. It screws people up when it comes to how do you actually look at and talk to each other. And lots of studies have shown social media is bad for us, leads to depression. When you look on social media, you see the highlights of other people's lives. It makes it seem like their life is perfect and your life is crap, when people don't sort of intuitively understand that these are just some of the highlights of what they're doing. And some of that stuff might even be staged, photoshopped, made up, whatever, right? And so, it's really dangerous. Plus, studies have shown that the human attention span typically used to be a minute, 2 minutes a couple of years ago. Now it's being reduced to under 30 seconds, and some studies show even under 9 seconds. So you can only pay attention to something for 9 seconds. At least that's what some studies are showing that technology and social media is doing to people. That's less than that of a goldfish. Right? A goldfish can pay attention to something for 9 seconds, and then they swim away and they forget about it. Right? And people are being turned into that through the excessive use of social media. Can it be helpful, useful? Sure, but in the long term, what are the impacts on society? Well, we're seeing those now, and there's lots of studies about those now. And yet, those studies aren't often referenced or quoted. There's some rare news that's often reported but not repeated, so it's more likely to be true. And independent news organizations pick up on these rare news stories by mainstream media to sort of work together and highlight some of the things they've come up with their resources and expertise and ability to get phone calls returned. So it might actually be in the New York Times, or it might be in the Washington Post, or it might be on ABC or NBC News. And it might be a really good story. But even though that information is really important to a lot of people, it often will be reported but not repeated. And that's more likely to be true, whereas stuff repeated everywhere is more likely to be propaganda. So that's a good way of looking at, well, what do you do? Where do you get your news? If you're so smart, it's like, well, once you've looked at it for a while, then you can understand. Or sometimes the mainstream media will have certain key details buried deep into an article, deep, a few paragraphs deep, and then the alternative media will read that article, find those little points, and make those the headline of their own article on the subject, which references the mainstream media's story, plus adds maybe their own context and editorializing and some other information, or cross-references other stories and other sources of information. So that's how there's sort of a symbiotic relation between the mainstream and the alternative media. And when it comes to social media, you can see the corruption there. There's a lot more stories about how we should be on it, we have to be using it, it's the future, it's what we should do. And yet, despite the fact that there are scientific studies and many doctors and psychologists and others coming out and warning us about it, there isn't those studies and those stories aren't out there nearly as much as the promotion of social media is. So it's good to sort of understand that and to leverage Kanye West, a world famous celebrity, warning us about the dangers of that, even if he's got a wife that uses it and is totally into it. So shots of Kanye. It says here, it is reported that his song LA Monster hits out at the city of Los Angeles, where he owns a mansion with his wife in the Hidden Hills area, and claims the city of angels letting Satan run they streets. Right? So he's saying, Los Angeles. It's sold on TV as a paradise. Everybody from around the world wants to make it in LA, make it in Hollywood, become a rich and famous celebrity, right? But, as he says, they're letting Satan run their streets. So the people of LA need to man and woman up and stop letting Satan run their streets, just like people everywhere in the world do, right? But with LA and Hollywood being such a huge influence on the whole world, it's good to be warned about that. It says here, fans will hear Kanye recycle lyrics from religious texts in the upcoming album, the publication added. Kanye also goes on to dub himself Yandi in a track named Sela, as he compares himself to Indian civil rights activist Mahatma Gandhi, mirroring his previous comments that he later admitted he regretted that saw him liken himself to Jesus in his Yeezus album in 2013. Kanye shocked fans when he quit pop music and decided to make gospel music instead. Jesus is King was supposed to be released on Friday, September 27th, a date announced by the rapper himself. Fans are still waiting. And his wife showed no sign the album was running late when she tweeted, 2 more days, Jesus is King. The delay was not announced by Kanye himself, but his wife, Kim Kardashian West. And it says here, Kanye's doing a listening session in Chicago tomorrow, then NYC Sunday. He's dropping the album Sunday. Just a few final tweaks to the mixes. So Kim Kardashian shared on Instagram some of the story behind some of the delays of this album. And yeah, that's an example of of Kanye West speaking out about this on his upcoming album, as revealed by people who've heard parts of the album at listening sessions. Now I'll take you to another article from the UK Daily Mail. And they often do a really, really good job, a really comprehensive job. So I want to shout out the UK Daily Mail. If you ever get a chance to see it, dailymail.co.uk. Not saying I like everything they do, but when they do have articles about whatever it is they're doing, and you compare those articles about either politics or pop culture or some other topic to articles from a lot of the Western media, you'll see the UK Daily Mail has often a lot more information, often a lot more pictures and a lot more video. So there's a lot more context there. It's a fuller and better read. And if it's celebrities, if it's an award show, and you want to look at pretty people wearing pretty clothes, you know, and get your celebrity star effer on, the Daily Mail UK is great for that. If it's a story about politics or sports or something else, they also do a very good job. So I want to commend them for that. And so this article, it says here, Kanye West fans rush to his stage as he performs Sunday service amid a Mormon conference in Salt Lake City, by Brian Marks for dailymail.com. And there's a sample of some of the pictures, and there's the Daily Mail. And this is from October 5th, 2019. They say his album is awaited, but there's nary a peep. He's bringing his Sunday service program to the masses on Saturday. He was in Salt Lake City, Utah, at the same time as the semi-annual General Conference of the Church of Jesus Christ and Latter-day Saints. There's a shot of Kanye and his peeps at the event as a preacher is reading a sermon to him. And this isn't just one picture. This is the Daily Mail has this little thing in the corner which says 14 more pictures of this event. So if you want to really feel like you're there, you could read this in USA Today or some other Western publication out of North America, and you won't get this many photos and often not this much information, right? So Kanye had a Sunday service show in Utah near the Gateway, a large residential complex. Video shot by fans shows a bunch running towards the stage at the beginning. He was dressed in one of his regular uniforms, a white sweatshirt saying Jesus is King, and some golden brown jeans and black boots. There's a shot of all the fans coming out to see his Sunday service. His head was bowed in prayer at the start as someone read a prayer. He made a return to politics after his controversy throughout 2018 with support for President Trump, which alienated some core fans. And then he distanced himself from conservative politics earlier this year to focus on other things. And it's kind of tough to dive in headfirst like that when you're, I guess, relatively new to this area, and then have a bunch of people coming at you, pulling you this way and that way, having the fallout with a famous black blacktivist, and Brexit leader Candace Owens, who's a lovely woman who does great work, but she was throwing Kanye's name around a little too freely, and it kind of pissed him off. And one specific example that kind of ended their relationship, because it was good. Kanye West came out and said, I like the way Candace Owens thinks. Everybody or a lot of people on the left freaked out and said, no, Candace Owens is a black white supremacist. How dare you? But then they got together, they got to know each other, they became friendly. It was only when Candace said, Kanye helped design my Brexit logo, like a black exit, similar to Brexit, where Britain wants to leave the European Union. Candace Owens is encouraging black people to leave the Democratic Party because after 50 years of trusting them, things are only getting worse in many ways in the black community. And so she's leading Brexit. But what she said Kanye West helped design this logo. Right? And she's got her own Brexit logo. And Kanye West is famously finicky when it comes to putting his name on designs, clothing, fashion, right? He's very exacting when it comes to that. And in reality, what happened was Kanye West hooked Candace Owens up with a designer to help her design that logo. So because Candace Owens shortened that to Kanye West helped me design it, he got pissed off and ended their relationship, at least for now. And so Candace had to apologize and say, I'm sorry, Kanye did help me, but he didn't specifically help me with this specific design. He helped connect me with a designer that helped me come up with this cool Brexit design. So that's what happened to their relationship as best I understand it. And I understand how both of them feel, right? And I think Candace was wrong, but not a horrible person. Just someone who was sort of young lady in her late 20s, taken by celebrity and being a huge fan of Kanye West, her favorite artist, and then speaking a little out of turn. And Kanye going, okay, now that I'm behind these MAGA people, some of them are using my name too freely and wrongly, so that's it, I'm pulling back, right? So that's some of the controversy about why he stepped back, because some of the people he trusted in the conservative movement, prominent conservative activists like Candace Owens, kind of burned him a little bit, and he was like, all right, I'm stepping away from y'all. Just because, they're bad doesn't mean I can't trust you. I'm going to go focus on other things. And his Saturday performance featured a show of support for President Trump, as well as a reference to how the Republican Party of Abraham Lincoln had freed the slaves, according to the Utah Deseret News. And Kanye says here, I never make a decision based only on my color, he said. That's a form of slavery, mental slavery. I ain't drink from the white person fountain. I ain't playing with them. All these mind controllers, the media, all these mind controllers. I find that wherever Christ is where I've got my mind at. We find that the love of Christ is where I've got my mind at. So he comes out at a Sunday service saying that, right? He's talking about slavery and mind controllers, the media, right? Which is great, right? I mean, President Trump's done the world a huge service by coming up with the term fake news. This is fake news, you're fake news, the media lies. Like, presidents don't do that. Prominent celebrities who have a working relationship with the media after a fashion don't do that. So for the president of the U.S. to get a whole bunch of people not to trust the mainstream media, especially when they're lying more than ever today, including not just about him, but about a bunch of stuff, or hiding a bunch of stuff that's important from the rest of us, like the threat of and the rise of communist China, like health risks, and so on, right? And as I said, the dangers of social media, they don't warn us about that nearly as much as they promote how cool social media is. This is an incredible public service for prominent people to come out against the media like that. And so Kanye and Trump and others should be commended for that, especially when they know they rely on the media for some of their celebrity and some of their messaging to get out to people. So going against that, there could be risking a lot of that. So there's some more pictures of him performing. There's some pictures of the crowd. And this is where he goes again into the dangers of social media. This is not just stuff from the album. This is stuff from the show, right? And I bring this up in this video to say you won't find these comments echoed by the mainstream media much, even if they're covering Kanye West. I did a search for Kanye West in news, and they didn't talk about these specific quotes that much. The local Utah news in Salt Lake City might have done a longer story on this because it's a local story. Lots of fellow Utahns were there, and lots of Utahns might have heard him say this, and it's one of the interesting quotes that Kanye said. But the rest of the media is hiding this from people, despite the fact that it's a huge, my goodness, Kanye West says social media is bad? That's crazy. What do you think? Well, his wife's on social media a lot. I hope they don't have a big fight over this. Ha ha ha. But they could go into it either in articles or on TV. They could make fun of him. Well, you should just get rid of your Twitter account and your 50 million followers then, buddy. Right? Like, they could have made a big stink about this. But the point that Kanye is making about social media is so powerful to warn young people and people in general against the dangers of it that the media, editorial, whatever, was just like, meh, we're just not going to cover it. We're going to hide it from you. And that's why I'm sharing it here. So it says in this article, Kanye also warned his fans about the dangers of social media from the stage. He says here, do not read comments on the internet. These people don't know you like that. Social media is designed to make you think slower. They want to slow you down and control you, he said, according to reporter Hunter Schwartz. That's why I said social media making you stupid. Kanye warns us about that. Let's see if I can get a... There we go. And this is huge for Kanye fans, and others, to sort of get a handle on what he's talking about. And I'm not saying he's the authority. I'm saying you could be like, well, is he right or wrong, right? Like, he's obviously a smart guy, and you can look into it more for yourself and see, holy crap, this is really, bad for people. People are killing themselves. People are depressed. People are not looking at and talking to each other properly. I know young people. I talked to a young person, young lady. She's looking away from me. I was like, hey, look directly at me. Not going to make each other uncomfortable. Social media is making people kind of a rude, sketchy mess, gender-neutral, sketchy mess. Not going to do that. Young lady, look at me, talk to me. I'm trying to help people stop, so don't worry about it. She was like, huh, really? I'm like, yeah, don't worry about it. Go ahead. Then she was happy telling me stuff, and she was shy and about how happy she got. Then she was excited and beautiful and vibrant young lady, like a 12-year-old girl, family friends, kid or whatever, happened to hang out with in some mixed company at a little event. And she was excited, and then she was shy about how excited and happy she was. And she was excited, and she was a graceful, beautiful girl, right? When she wasn't messed up by the culture and by social media and technology, and when there was a responsible adult there telling her to, no, focus, we can be cool, we can talk like we're not screwed up by technology, right? And so it's important for other adults out there to kind of help explain this too. He also said focus less on things like music and sports, instead focus on societal ills. Says there's 1 in 3 African Americans in jail in this country. So certainly worth more focusing on than sports and culture and music and stuff. That stuff's fun too, right? But you got to have a balance in life. And then there's a bunch more stuff about the show, right? It says here, just to end, he says, this album has been made to be an expression of the gospel and to share the gospel and the truth of what Jesus has done to me. When I think of the goodness of Jesus and all that he does for me, my soul cries out, he concluded. And there was some certainly stories on this, but with the sort of atheistic, secular, more liberal media and culture they're trying to create, they're really trying to push back on this. And whether you're religious or not, it's good to have a respect for religion and for God and for religious people and for the value of that type of belief system. Because if you get rid of that and respect for everything traditional, gender, ladies and gentlemen, men and women, family, religion, tradition, history, nationalism, your country, where you're from, you got to know where you're from to know where you're going. If you get rid of all of that, then you're left kind of hollow, and you're left not having self-respect and not being able to show and get it with others. And then you just get more bitchy and you become more of a mess, and that might be part of the great globalist bitch out plan. So we got to battle back against that. So anyway, I'll post a link to this and the other article below. But there it is, straight from the horse's mouth, Mr. West himself, sharing the dangers of social media and warning the world. Get off it. It's making you stupid. They want to control you. And don't take Hollywood and LA and the entertainment industry so seriously. It's run by Satan. And if that isn't helpful advice, I don't know what the hell is. And so thank you, Mr. West, for your contributions. Otherwise, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, share, get in touch with questions, answers, ideas to work together, interview requests, or financial support. And for now, BK Black Krishna from manforwars.com. Hope this helps, and I'll talk to you soon. Cheers.